talking about the Texas Supreme Court. I do not have a box count on the Supreme Court yet, so I'll talk a little bit about what's going on with the Texas Supreme Court right now. So last night, if you were not following the primary here in Texas, we had a pretty banger of a race, right? We had Tallarico v. Crockett on the Democrat side, and then we had Ken Paxton facing off with John Cornyn on the Republican side. Now, the Republican side is going to a runoff because none of them can get their shit together. Wesley Hunt took about 10% of the vote, which didn't put Cornyn or Paxton over the 50% threshold they need. So what they're going to be doing is going to a runoff, and they're going to be wasting some money and time on the Republican side to win what Republicans feel should be a secure seat. So I kind of love that for them. However, we had a drastic turnout for the Tallarico v. Crockett Senate primary. Now look, Tallarico won that primary, but I want to talk about something specific that went on that people seem to be confused about. So, essentially, Dallas County, right? This is specific there, had some issues last night. The parties kind of set this up. They're allowed to run their primaries how they want, and Republicans decided, no, we want precinct primaries. So that's a little bit different because in countywide primary, you can go anywhere to vote within the county, but in precincts, you have to go to the specific voting place. Like there's a library right next to your house. That's where you're going to vote. So first of all, there was a lot of confusion, and people who had been voting forever, didn't know where they were supposed to go, or even new voters didn't know where they were supposed to go. So they had a judge issue an order that the polling places could stay open for another 2 hours. Instead of closing at 7, they closed at 9. And just a side note here, as long as you're in line by 7 p.m., you are still voting on a regular ballot. But once you go beyond that, you're voting on what they call a provisional ballot. This is something they give you, like, if I'm out of town, but I still want to go place my vote, they're going to give me a provisional ballot to vote, which is just like, essentially it's a paper ballot, but it doesn't have all your like local races and stuff like that, or it usually doesn't. Some of them do. I'm sure they have different types of provisional ballots to account for this. So anyway, they go to this provisional ballot if they're getting in line after 7 p.m. This is where this gets very, probably, this is going to sound fucked up, right? Parties needed to reach out to their voters. We have weeks of early voting. The fact that this came up now is crazy to me. However, they did have a judge issue an order that they get until 9 p.m. to vote. I already knew. I literally, it's on my Twitter for the world to see. I was like, those votes aren't getting counted. And I'll tell you how I know this, because I've played this game before. Change the record, the song sucks. In Houston, a few years back, we had an issue that was even worse than just voter confusion. We had an issue where they were running out of ballots. They did not have ballots for people to actually vote. And then they have a judge issue a ruling, and then the Supreme Court blocks it, or the Texas Supreme Court, let me be clear. That's exactly what happened here, is that they did this, and I was like, within 24 hours, we're going to have an order saying we're not doing this. And that's exactly what occurred. Supreme Court blocked it, saying like, hey, we need to consider whether you can count these votes. And here's the thing. If you are not educating yourself on where you need to go vote before an hour before you need to be there, I'm going to be so real. That's kind of a fucking you problem. Now, again, I feel sympathy for the people that this happened to, but we've been in Texas too long to not act like we don't know voter suppression is a fucking thing. So if you're going to claim voter suppression, why the fuck weren't you checking your registration ahead of time? Why weren't you checking your polling place ahead of time? I already knew this was what was going to happen. Those votes will not be counted. And I hate that for people, but it's also the reality of the situation we're living in. So that is what's going on with the Crockett Tallarico. Tallarico has won the race. Jasmine Crockett has already conceded and talked about working together and making sure we get Tallarico voted in, which I really love that she did that, because I think that's so important right now. As much as we can be mad about whatever fuckery went on, the reality is that those limited amount of provisional ballots would not have been enough to swing the vote to Crockett. And I also think that, like, right now we have to focus on that race going forward. Now, here in a few minutes, we're going to have some Supreme Court opinions dropping. Let me see if I get a box count. Give me 1 second. Do we have a box count yet? Oh, it's a 1 box day. So we're going to see what's in the, we'll have a box count in soon. Now listen, as far, I'll start refreshing at 9 to see what opinions we get. I don't know if it's something we discussed previously in other cases. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. It may or may not be a case we covered, but if we get something important that we've discussed, we'll go ahead and cover it. However, in regard to the Crockett-Tallarico race, right now it's looking like Tallarico is going to be the person who's running, and I hope that Texans can put aside whatever the fuckery is and realize that women are at serious risk in our state, as well as multiple other people, and we need to get a Democrat in there. I don't fucking care. James Tallarico and Jasmine Crockett's policy positions are nearly indistinguishable, and god damn it, I'll be so real. At the end of the day, I couldn't give a flying fuck. You've got to get in power if you want change. And Tallarico and Crockett are both reasonably good candidates that I think could put a lot forward. So that's where we're at right now. They're not going to be counting those votes in Dallas. I've been in this too long. I already know what's going to happen. Oh, and thank you guys for the heartbeats. We should be seeing Supreme Court opinions here in just a minute. I'll start refreshing at 9. If you have any questions, Texas is doing illegal voting suppression. No, that's incorrect. So voter suppression would mean the state intervenes. So parties here are allowed to run their primaries the way that they want to. And unfortunately, in Dallas, they wanted to go to precinct voting. This is more of a skill issue. I agree, it's freaking infuriating, but it also is what it is. Under the Texas state law, they didn't break any rules. It was up to Democrats to reach out to their voters, and they didn't fucking do it. I don't have any sympathy for that. Like, I have sympathy for the people that it happened to, but I don't have any, Democrats didn't do their job, and that's their fucking problem. Like, I love that, but yeah, there's going to be a lot of people that give you horse shit. Like, I'm going to tell you right now, I personally feel like fundamentally we should have a rule that it's either county or precinct voting for the state, but unfortunately parties get to decide this, and that was just the reality of how it played out. Give me 1 second. It is 9 a.m. I'm going to start refreshing for you guys. We also did get Mirabelli versus Bonata not too long ago. It was an opinion in favor of parents. But it was not, it was on an application to vacate an interlocutory stay order. It was per curiam, where they decided in favor of the parents that basically teachers can let them know about, this is way quicker than I thought. Hold on. Urias-Orellana versus Bondi. This is written by Ketanji Brown Jackson. Let's see. This is a case that we covered dealing with immigration. So this case presents a question of whether the Court of Appeals must apply substantial evidence review to the Board of Immigration Appeals determination whether a given set of undisputed facts constitutes persecution under 8 U.S.C. 1101. So essentially what happened in this one, if I'm remembering it correctly, is like they were saying, hey, these courts need to be able to do a de novo review, and they were arguing they weren't. So let's see what happens. Let's see. So petitioners Douglas Umberto Urias-Orellana, sorry, I hope I'm saying that right. His wife, Sierra Ilana Gomez, I'm not going to butcher these names. I sincerely apologize. And their minor child are natives of El Salvador who entered the United States without authorization in 2021. After being placed in removal proceedings, petitioners applied for asylum. Under the INA, the U.S. government may grant asylum to non-citizens if it determines that he is a refugee. An asylum seeker qualifies as a refugee because if he is unable or unwilling to return to his country, to his country of nationality because of persecution or a well-founded fear of persecution on account of race, religion, nationality, membership in a particular social group, or political opinion. In support of the petitioner's application for asylum, Urias-Orellana testified that he was being targeted by a hitman, sorry, I don't want to get flagged on TikTok, in El Salvador. The immigration judge found Urias-Orellana's testimony credible, but concluded it did not establish past persecution or well-founded fear of future persecution under the INA. The IJ accordingly denied the petitioner's asylum application and ordered their removal. The BIA affirmed on petition for review in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the First Circuit, also affirmed, holding that under the substantial evidence standard of review, the record did not compel a contrary finding. So what the hell does that mean? Basically, they're saying, hey, we want you to be able to look at all the factors of the case. And the government was saying, no, you can only look at what the BIA said and also what the IG said, the immigration judge. So 1 second, let me come back to it. So held. The INA requires application of the substantial evidence standard to the agency's determination whether a given set of undisputed facts rises to the level of persecution. Let's see if that's going to tell me more. Hold on. Let me scroll to the bottom. Give me 1 sec. The Court of Appeals applied the appropriate standard under 1252b4b when it reviewed the agency's persecution determination for substantial evidence, so the judgment below is affirmed. Essentially, they're saying, no, the appeals court does not need to take into account these other things. They need to review what they already have, and that's where we're at right now. I know, I'm actually kind of surprised. I didn't think it would go that way, but, is what it is. We're at where we're at. Oh, let's see. And, oh God, is this New Jersey Transit Corp? I swear to fucking God. It says they have a second and final decision. Sorry, guys, I'm going back and forth. It's Gillette v. NJ Transit Corp. Yeah. So essentially they affirmed the government's position in the one case that we covered here. I'm not going to bore y'all with New Jersey v. Transit Corp. It's a state sovereignty thing, and I just couldn't give a fuck. On that one, it was just, I don't care. But anyway, let's get back into it. If you did put in questions, I'm going to try and look. Okay. But anyway, so we'll get back to the Jasmine Crockett thing because it seems like people are really fascinated about this, and like, I get it. Like, it certainly optically looks fucking terrible, right? Like, it optically looks like absolute dog shit because you're like, oh my God, a judge said that you can count these ballots cast after 7, and then the Texas Supreme Court says, no, we're not doing this. Two things. This has happened before. And it's been worse circumstances, like where precincts didn't have actual fucking ballots and they didn't count these votes. So I am not shocked by this. Because really what they're going to look at is like, Did they put the information out there that your polling place may be different? Did they put out notice? Did they let people know? And they did, by the way. They did let people know this. Had I have been in the Democratic Party in Dallas, I would have been on the news nightly. I would have called every news station and been like, hey, can I talk about this tonight? Because this is, may lead to some confusion for voters. Please tell me they wouldn't have put you on. This is a fault of Democrats not reaching out to their voters. I'm going to call it what it is, because I'll be real. The Republicans weren't the side that was complaining. The Democratic Party in Dallas was the one that filed this suit, and it's a skill issue, right? And I agree, it optically looks fucking dog shit, but it also is what it is. You didn't make sure your voters knew where they were supposed to go in a high profile race. That's a huge problem. But to call it voter suppression, I believe is not accurate, because the parties are allowed to run these primaries the way they want in Texas. They did change it from county to precinct voting, and it fucking sucks, but we are where we are. And also, the provisional ballots cast between 7 and 9, unless they're over 100 and I would say 60,000 votes for Crockett, it's not, and we just don't have that number, it's not going to make a difference. But what we can talk about is the fact that Democrats showed up in record numbers to vote in this primary. And I just want to congratulate Democrats for doing that. We never matched Republican numbers. We matched Republican numbers last night. And not only is this not an election year primary, this is a midterm primary that Democrats showed out in record numbers. For instance, when Beto was running against Abbott back in 2022, about 1 million Democratic voters showed up. Almost 2 million Republican voters showed up for that primary for the Republicans. About 1 million Democratic voters showed up. I think we're sitting around 2.3, 2.4 million showed up for a midterm primary vote. That is freaking amazing. So I guess I would say this is unfortunate that those votes didn't get counted, but this is why I'm going to tell people, don't be surprised at voter suppression in Texas. Expect it. If you want to call it voter suppression, don't be surprised. Expect it. Make sure, first of all, you're early voting, because you don't run into these issues when you early vote, because then you have time if you have to adjust where you can go. Make sure you're keeping on top of your county website for elections. Make sure you're registered. You're checking your voter registration often. And then, that's really all I can tell you as far as that goes. Does anybody have any questions about what happened with Jasmine Crockett or about the immigration ruling that we just got? I am curious. You can throw it in the chat. Otherwise, I will. Okay. Do I have a mod in here that can block this person? Sorry, maybe I can do it. I'm on TikTok Studio, so yeah, I'm not dealing with that in my chat. If you want to go be racist, go do that shit somewhere else. I'm not fucking doing that shit. I personally was a Talarico voter, but I'll be so honest. I wouldn't have cared who won. Their policy positions are indistinguishable. I was all in no matter who won. But I'm very excited that we are going to be moving forward. I really hope that Talarico and Crockett work together to be so on. I don't know how to, maybe I can mod you. Can I mod you? Add? Oh, okay, you're modded. I really hope that they kind of work together. I think that would be such an amazing coalition to come together to work the vote and get people out to the polls. Granted, is it disheartening for people because so-and-so didn't win? Sure. But at the end of the day, we have to be able to get anybody other than Ken fucking Paxton or John Cornyn sitting in that Texas Senate seat. So, Mr. E, you don't have to learn much. The the Supreme Court said, hey, you know, they don't have to do a de novo review in appeals on immigration. And then the Texas Supreme Court. Oh, my bad, guys. Sorry, I accidentally hit my little mute button. Listen, I absolutely agree, Aaron. You can totally vote with your heart in a primary, but you have to vote with your head in a general. I don't want to see this stupid bullshit again this time of my candidate didn't win. I'm not going to go vote. Fuck you, bitch. Get your ass out there because this is going to get worse if you fucking don't. We actually have a chance to flip Texas blue. The only damn candidate I've made an exception for on that is Graham Plattner out of Maine. I'm sorry. When you have a Schnazi tattoo, you can eat absolute shit. I don't care your reasoning or how long ago you got it. I will never fucking vote for you. I will write in sweet meteor of death 5,000 times before I will fucking vote for you, and I'll call it. But yeah. Anyway, I'm done ranting. If anybody would like to come up, you're more than welcome to, but I don't really have much after this. This opens Jasmine opportunity for I mean, certainly, yeah. That's the thing is like Jasmine Crockett isn't going to be gone, right? Like, I still think she's a fierce defender of Texas. I think, oh, hi. I still think, shit, she could lead the Democratic Party here. Then maybe we'd actually be fucking doing something. Wouldn't that be great? I don't know if anybody is familiar with how dog shit Texas Democrats are, but it's a fucking unending disappointment. They couldn't even let their voters in Dallas know that they needed to go to a specific precinct. That's where we're at in Texas. And if she can't get back into an office currently, I would vote for her. Like, I would be like, we're good. Oh. Yeah, Republicans are in a runoff now. That's the other thing I wanted to say. Oh, hi, Aaron. That's the other thing I wanted to say is now Republicans are going to be wasting money and time. And by the way, some of the Senate committees are fucking pissed. They're pissed at Wesley Hunt and they're pissed at Ken Paxton. And they've already issued statements saying John Cornyn is the only one that will be able to carry this Senate seat. So I love that for all of them. What's up, Aaron?
Hey, excuse me, doing good. Yeah, you muted right when you went off on your rant, and I think it was a rant but yeah, vote with your hearts in the primaries, heads. We gotta vote with our heads in the generals, folks. We can't sit here and say, I'm not gonna vote. That's why we have what we have today. And I don't care if those guys say, just look at the numbers, that's not true. You guys getting on social media saying that you're going to vote third party or not vote at all influences other people in the world.
That part.
Don't get it wrong. When you say that on social media, you absolutely influence people that have the 0 followers. So we are not going to go with far left progressivism in one vote or just a snap of a finger or some freaking revolution that none of you will ever join. We progress further by, they might not hit all your check marks as a candidate, but as long as they aren't this administration is what we have to have.
I mean, I think that's a real reality here. Like, look, when I went and voted for Tallarico, there were two things about him that compelled me, right? Like, I I actually really like Tallarico. I wouldn't say like I know him, but anyway, that's irrelevant here. I like him as a candidate. He has good policy positions, and him and Jasmine Crockett's are actually almost identical. There's almost no delineating difference between what they are, right? So that's the first thing. Tallarico is he's been in the race. He's been doing the work. I mean, and this is not a knock on Jasmine. She entered the race later. I saw Tallarico really reaching out to the moderate and disaffected Republican base, which I thought was really, really important.
Hmm.
I feel like it goes one of two ways with the left, right? Like they either create the most exclusive big tent you've ever seen, where everything that you do is under a microscope, and if you fucking sneeze wrong, you don't fit their purity test, and they're gonna say fuck off. Or you actually find a big tent. And I felt like that was what Tallarico was really about. It was just saying, like, I know you're mad about these things. I know you're upset about these things. Even if you're a non-voter, even if you're younger, even if you know, are a former Republican, we still want you. We have something for everybody. And like, again, not that Jasmine Crockett didn't, I just didn't feel like she did it as well as Tallarico. So I went and voted for Tallarico. However, had Jasmine Crockett won the primary, I would have gone and voted for her in the general. Zero fucks given. Not even one. Wouldn't have even cared. So like,
Right.
that's what I don't get is like, please don't let this be a reason for you not to go vote, because there are women dying in this state because they can't access abortion. I need somebody in the Senate. We need to flip the Senate. And if Tallarico is a way that we can flip this Senate, or at least get it closer to the votes we need to codify protections for women, I'm on board. I'm on board
Yeah.
all day.
Yep. And nobody should be yelling at you for your primary vote.
Yeah. I mean, who cares? Like, I always told people, I was like, this is what I want to go do. But if you want to go do that, that's great. But either way, come generals, I'm showing up to vote for whoever wins. There's been one exception I made to this in this entire like Democratic lineup that we have. And I've already said it's Graham Plattner, because I don't think there's any coming back from a Nazi tattoo, and I don't give a fuck. So I think
Yeah.
that's a stupid, like, I can't believe some of the Democrats are endorsing him. It fucking pisses me off. Literally,
Well,
that's the kind of shit that makes me want to not go vote for Democrats.
and I'm in Nebraska, so my
Yeah.
voice has diddly shit to do with this. But as a voice in the House, I think Jasmine is so strong there,
Yeah.
and she's doing so good. Um, I'm glad that she's there. Um, if she would have won the primary, I would have loved it.
Yeah.
Tallarico, I love him too. That was a hard one to even want to
Yeah.
pick from the outside, but uh, the fact that they're both strong and have a real good chance this fall is so amazing.
Well, and see, that's what I'm really, really hoping for, is that I saw a statement from Jasmine Crockett, saying like, we need to put this shit aside. We need, like, I'm conceding, we need to get a blue candidate in. I'm really low key hoping, and wish a hope and a prayer, but I hope that they work together to like
Hmm.
get the state involved. I hope that they work together to unite their voters and rally people, because at the end of the day, she's absolutely right. I can be mad that so and so did win, didn't win. It's really irrelevant, because I want these candidates to be firing off and making sure just as well, not just as many, but more people show up to the general. Because when I tell you we had a 2.3, 2.4 million Democratic voters show up, that's just not a thing here. Republicans vastly outnumber us in almost every primary. We matched their numbers. That's
Hmm.
that's just not a thing that happens here. And
That's
I
crazy
find
in
this
Texas.
fascinating. So,
I'm right with you. And if Jasmine Crockett now just gets right behind Tallarico, that's what the Democratic Party needs. That's
Yeah.
when if you don't get it in the primaries, you know what? You can be mad about the reasons, but get behind that other candidate and just start pushing. That's what the Democratic Party needs.
I honestly hope she maybe like I'm joins him on the campaign trail a little bit. You know, I mean, of course she's got a life.
Mm-hmm.
She's a very busy woman. Like nothing like that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying like she has to capitulate. I'm just saying I hope she joins him on the campaign trail a little bit. I think it would work to like help voters sort of unify if they're feeling a little bit disaffected by this or what have you. Like I I think as a candidate, it's an amazing thing to do when you take a hit like this and you get together with the other candidate and you're like, we're still gonna get you a win because a win is a fucking win. You know, like I'm here for that.
Right.
Um, yeah, I agree. And Crockett is a great voice in the House. And I mean, she will likely run again. That's probably going to happen. I liked what she said. I thought it was important. Like, we need to get the blue vote out. So I'm here for it, man. Let's see. Crockett, I have no doubt she'll make an awesome senator. Yeah, and like that's the thing is like Darwin, like I think she will be a great senator, but we have to get there first. We have to be able to just get a Democrat elected. Like, let alone,
Right.
like, because let's be so real. Racism and misogyny are absolutely predictable. Like,
We
what
saw
happened the
that. We
last
saw that in the
time?
last presidential election.
Yeah, what happened the last time? We had a highly competent, educated black woman up against a dog shit white man.
Mm-hmm.
And it
It's
just
sad.
sucks.
It's sad. I hate that we're still here in 2026, but
Yeah.
that's where we are.
And you know, I think it's weird that you say that because I think people in red states are more because I know you're in Nebraska. I think people in the red states are more like we kind of understand that dynamic a little bit more, if that makes sense. And it's not to like, I'm not dogging on anybody who isn't or that does understand. I'm only saying like, we've seen the outcome of what this is. And we're like, we just got to win. We got to take a win. And I think like, it's really easy to sit on a high horse from a blue state and cry about things. But when you're living in a reality where women in your state are fucking dying, when you're living in these realities, it sort of almost makes it a little bit different, if that makes sense. And this is not to dog on people in blue states. I'm going to be so very clear. It just, I see that sometimes and it's frustrating.